They thought the answer was finally within their grasp. On a ruined world, infested by the dead, a handful of survivors led by Spider-Man placed what little hope remained in the Mind Stone. That legendary gem, bright and golden, pulsing with something more than mere energy. They'd lost friends. They'd lost allies. The entire planet, it seemed, was lost too. And yet, this group, Spider-Man, T'Challa, Ant-Man's disembodied head, and the cloaked Doctor Strange's cape, refused to surrender. Their plan: use the Mind Stone's power, embedded in Vision's crystalline brow, to generate a cure, something that could reverse the zombie virus ravaging every corner of the globe. They'd tried everything else. This was the final shot. First, they traveled across devastated cities, dodging the relentless armies of the infected. The Mind Stone itself glimmered with the faint promise of salvation. It called to the infected, of course, hope and danger, perfectly entwined. They made their way to Wakanda. Of all places left standing, Wakanda was their fortress. Hidden away behind shields of vibranium and secrecy, it was one of the last bastions yet to fall. T'Challa, once its king, could only hope his people were waiting. But waiting for them, instead, was something far worse: a vision of the world that had already ended. When they entered Wakanda's core, the Mind Stone radiated. Its energy pulsed outward, pushing back the viral signature, momentarily clearing the air of that sick, gnawing hunger. It was a small miracle, a promise that they might truly cure this plague, if only they had time, if only they had the space. Spider-Man looked over his makeshift teammates and saw, for the first time in months, a glimmer of hope filling their eyes. But they weren't alone. In the heart of the city, the greatest threat awaited a zombie Thanos, gaunted and ready. His Infinity Gauntlet nearly complete, lacking only the piece Spider-Man's team now carried. The survivors didn't make it to a laboratory. They didn't restore society. The infected, overwhelming Wakanda, had already breached the capital. The moment Spider-Man, T'Challa, and Scott Lang thought themselves close to victory, luck and fate shattered at their feet. The Horde surged. Zombie Thanos, driven by neither hatred nor reason, reached out for the Mind Stone, for a cure, or for simple hunger. None could say, but he was unstoppable as nightmare. Still, Spider-Man's team fought back. T'Challa took the lead, using what remained of the Dora Milaje teachings. He defended, dodged, heaving Spider-Man precious seconds. Cloak, once belonging to Doctor Strange, swept through the chaos, flinging zombies away with mystical force. Scott Lang, still light-hearted, even as a head in a jar, piped an unhelpful encouragement between deadly blasts. And somewhere, between all the loss and all the horror, Spider-Man made a choice, one that would shape the fate of their world. He entrusted the Mind Stone to T'Challa. While the Horde pressed in, T'Challa made his escape cloaked. Alone, the Mind Stone in hand, Spider-Man and Lang stayed to slow the tide, sacrificing their chance at survival for even a sliver of hope. T'Challa reached the labs, using what scant resources he could. The Mind Stone's energy, amplified through Wakandan technology, created pulses that held the virus at bay, in pockets. It wasn't a cure, at least. Not in the all-encompassing way they'd dreamed about. It was enough to carve out small sanctuaries, saving a handful of uninfected survivors. It bout time. It bout time. Back in the city's heart, Spider-Man and what remained of his friends fell. Not infected, not at first, but Thanos, wielding the lost Infinity Stone, snapped his fingers. Instead of death or resurrection, the world paused. For a long, blinking moment, the hunger stopped. Even the zombies grew listless and still. It was then, in the strange, shivering silence, that the Mind Stone's power, channeled through T'Challa's desperate design, began to spread like rain over a burning field. The cure was imperfect. Partial. Most of the infected were beyond saving. But here and there, one's lost minds flickered back to life. A few survivors awoke, dazed, to the ruins of their homes. The Horde was diminished, weakened, no longer unstoppable. Humanity had lost nearly everything, but there was something left to rebuild from. Spider-Man's team was scattered, changed, and scarred. Some lost to the plague, some sacrificed for the others, and a very few left to shepherd the last survivors of Earth. The Mind Stone's legacy wasn't a miracle, and it wasn't an ending. It was a beginning, a hard, bitter, hopeful one. And the world, for once, moved forward.